Welcome to How to Write the Experience section of your resume. The experience section of a resume is one of those sections that I see most often done incorrectly. And it seems so straightforward, doesn't it? But it's not. What we're really wanting to put there instead of a laundry list of items is some highlights about someone's experience. I'm going to talk about how to create a job entry, how to assemble all those tasks into a few really good bullet points that are impactful and jump out at the employer. This video is a continuation of a resume series. It starts with the overview video, so please check that out. You'll find them to be very, very helpful. You know, I have been helping people build effective resumes for years now with really great results. Once I redo their resume, they almost always find a job within 30 days. This is because the resumes properly represent them, speaks to the results, and matches the jobs they apply for, which of course in today's marketplace is critical. Each section of a resume has its own nuance with its own purpose. It's important that each section is done well, especially the first third of the resume, since recruiters only spend about 8 seconds reviewing resumes at a time. They hit the first third, then glance at the experience to make sure someone has a background for the position. Lastly, they look at the education, and guess what? That's it, they're done. So if I were to rate the importance of the different sections, I'd say profile overview is number 1, skills and abilities number 2, 3 accomplishments, and then 4 is your experience. And then coming in at the very last is the education. So let's break down the experience section now and see what needs to go into this section. Welcome to the Career Rescue Coach YouTube channel. My name is Dawn Casey. With over 20 years of leading human resource departments, I now help people with their career challenges, changes, and of course questions. What makes this channel a little bit different, having led HR departments for so many years, I can tell you what goes on behind the scenes and what you really need to know from the employer's perspective. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe and push the bell in order to get the latest career news. Alright, so let's take a little closer look at what the purpose of an experience section is. It's actually to outline your background in a way that demonstrates results and positive outcomes to future employers. So it's a little different than just listing what your experience is or the job tasks that you've done. So let's dig a little bit deeper and take a look at an example. Okay, here's an example of a director of human resources. They work for Presbyterian Corp. They worked for the research division. They gave their very specific location and dates, and then also said what the facility did, how many employees there were, and how many people that this position managed. Then the first bullet point talks about one of the projects that they worked on, which was updating the new employee handbook. So note that in this example that it's very clear about what the title was for this position, where it was located, what it did, how many employees there were, and how many people that this position managed. This is a really good entry for a manager type role. Now the bullet point we'll go into in just a bit, but the type of bullet point this is called a situation action result type of bullet point. And we're going to delve into that and learn how to write these. Okay, now let's talk about what does situation action result actually mean. So when you're talking about a situation, you're describing the beginning or the starting point. It's talking about why something needs to change. Then, when you go into the action, you're talking about both your action and others' actions that took place to remedy the situation. Preferably, actions that you initiated to create a really positive change. And then the result is the outcome, the percentage of increase or decrease, or ultimately the positive change that took place or that was brought about based upon your actions. So the idea behind this bullet point is to highlight an aspect of the job as it relates to outcomes rather than simply listing duties. To demonstrate how we would take a list of duties and combine them, we're going to take a look at a customer service person and some lists of duties, and then we're going to combine it into a really powerful bullet point. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so to demonstrate how we would take a list of random tasks and different responsibilities, let's take a look at a standard customer service person. Now, in looking at these duties where the person has assisted customers daily, they've received at least 2 customer accommodations every day or every month for a year. They increased orders, went from 30 to 60 orders a day, entered orders into a system, improved processes for taking orders and order entry. Now, that's a lot of random things that are kind of put together, but we want to get that into a bullet point that actually has some meaning to it now. So, it now reads, initiated process improvement with regard to accuracy of taking orders. Orders were initially taken manually and entered into the system. Worked with manager to improve online form so that orders could be input directly into the system while on the phone. When we moved to the entering orders directly into the system, productivity increased and orders entry doubled from 30 to 60 orders a day on average. This also resulted in improved customer service and reduced order wait time before shipping from 4 days to 2 days. Now, that is something very impressive, and it tells a very different story than just a random list of tasks. So, let's take a look at what's next. Alright, so now let's look at the entry for a senior customer service representative. You notice that the title is clear, the name of the company is there, the location, that the person, their length of time of employment is there, what type of company it was, and how many people it employed. And notice that there's no mention of who was managed or how many employees were managed because this is a non-management role. And then, wow, look at that bullet point. What a complete difference than a list of just simple tasks, right? It tells a really great story. All right, so now let's move on to some additional tips and common questions that I hear and get in regard to the experience section of a resume. All right, here are some additional tips and common questions. Always start out your bullet points with action words. It's much more powerful. And if you have a gap of employment that is more than 6 months, you do need to notate it. You don't want them wondering what happened. It's just easier to put it on your resume so you answer that question. If you have short stays of employment of less than 6 months, I would drop them off of your resume and simply say that you were looking for employment. Please only include 10 years of experience. Employers really don't want to see more than this today. And if you do have something in your background that is especially relevant to a job you're applying for, you can then add a section called Selected Experience and then give a brief overview of what that experience was. I've actually done that before with some legal background that I have on my resume. And so that you know, there are 3 general types of resumes. We've got chronological, functional, and a combination. Recruiters by far prefer the chronological because with functional resumes, people often use these to hide or try and hide the fact that they've had short stays of employment or they have very little experience. It is much better to use a chronological resume and then really build out good bullet points for the experience there. Now, when changing careers, you can rewrite your resume in the experience section in such a way that you bring in those skills and attributes of, that are similar to the jobs that you're wanting to move into. And again, avoid using a functional resume here too. Recruiters, they know what to look for on these functional resumes and they will pretty much pass them by. So just a warning, use your chronological, it's a much better approach. Alright, so let's see what's next. Alright, so we've talked about how to make a good job entry under the experience section, how to write a great bullet point using situation, action, and result, and just taking those random tasks and putting them into something that tells a story. And we've also answered some of those questions that come up around work history. So please check out some of the other videos on resume building and also the video that discusses how to address gaps very specifically. I give you a whole process around this, how both to address it on your resume and as you're speaking to the employer. Alright, so here's a funny slide. I like to throw these in to make you laugh, the other side of experience. And please remember that your experience is all about how it applies to the types of jobs that you're applying for and its relevancy. Randomly applying for jobs that don't fit your background or experience is a waste of your time and the recruiter's time. The good news is that this section is not interchangeable and remains static, so that means you don't have to change it for each job that you apply for. So be sure to subscribe to this channel and push the bell to get notifications of the latest and greatest videos. And be sure to check out the Career Rescue page on Facebook for both the great articles that are listed there and some good discussion. And be sure to make comments below, as I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Dawn Casey, as a Career Rescue Coach, and remember, change your job, change your life. See you soon.